Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever really stopped to think about why your favorite online game feels so profoundly different from just playing on the couch with your friends? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the unique architectural challenges that really define that entire online gaming experience.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the absolute basics, the blueprint of an online game, and then dig into the core trade-offs. From there, we'll untangle the tricky puzzles of synchronous gameplay, tackle the massive challenge of building persistent worlds, and finally, we'll confront the infamous player-killer problem. All right, let's jump in.
Okay, first things first. Let's get on the same page. What is the actual dividing line between a simple multiplayer game and a true online game? The secret ingredient, as you've probably guessed, is the network itself.
At its heart, an online game is just a multiplayer experience where everyone's connected over a network. Now that could be a couple of friends at a LAN party or literally millions of people spread across the entire globe. But that one distinction, the network, creates this huge cascade of challenges and opportunities that we're about to unpack.
To really see this shift in action, let's put old-school couch co-op right next to modern networked play. You're going to see the differences are just night and day.
I mean, think about the incredible leap forward this represents. With networked play, gone are the days of screen peeking. Right? You get your own screen, which means you can finally have strategic secrets. And your pool of opponents isn't limited to who can drive over to your house. It's global, and it's always on, 24/7.
But, going online isn't a free lunch. It brings a whole new set of really powerful advantages, but it also introduces some absolutely crippling disadvantages that designers are constantly wrestling with.
The single biggest advantage of online games is something developers can't even code: other people. Human interaction, with all of its incredible unpredictability and creativity, is infinitely more compelling than even the most advanced AI. Players themselves become the game's best feature.
And this quote just gets right to the heart of it. The hardest job for an online game designer isn't just tweaking weapon stats or something, it's being a social architect. You're not just building a game, you're cultivating an entire society inside a little digital petri dish.
But on the flip side, when you build on a network, you inherit all of its problems. All of a sudden, you're dealing with this host of little gremlins that a single-player game designer never, ever loses sleep over.
And these aren't just technical annoyances, they're game breakers. Every single one of them fundamentally threatens the fairness of the competition. Take latency, lag. If my connection is faster than yours, I have a real physical advantage. And this forces designers into this constant battle to try and level a playing field that is by its very nature uneven.
And that brings us right into synchronous games, the ones where everyone has to be online at the exact same time. This one requirement creates some truly unique and maddening logistical headaches for designers.
It's kind of like a game of Monopoly, right? If your friend shows up 30 minutes late, they're just doomed. The same principle applies here. So what's the solution? How do you manage this constant stream of players who all want to jump in at different times?
Well, the solutions are really all about creating a fair entry point. Lobbies make sure everyone starts on a level playing field, matchmaking systems try their best to keep the sharks away from the minnows, and making the fight consensual means no one gets thrown into a match they really don't want.
But an even tougher puzzle is the disappearing player. Whether it's an intentional rage quit or just their Wi-Fi giving up the ghost, one person vanishing can instantly ruin the game for everybody else.
And here's the real dilemma. There is no perfect answer. If you make the quitter forfeit, you end up punishing people with bad internet. But if you give the win to the player who's ahead, you've just created a brand new strategy. Get ahead and then pull the plug. Every single solution opens up a new door for exploitation.
Okay, now we're going to scale up to the ultimate challenge, the massively multiplayer online game, or MMOG. We're talking about persistent worlds that are always on, running 24/7, whether you are there or not.
This is a monumental shift in design. A normal game has a beginning and an end. A persistent world is more like a digital country that you visit. It's an ongoing, shared reality. And this completely reframes a player's motivation. It's no longer about winning the game, it's about living in this world.
So, if you want to build a world that people actually want to live in, you first have to understand why they're there in the first place. Richard Bartle, a true pioneer of these virtual worlds, created this classic model that breaks down players into 4 core archetypes based on what really drives them.
Bartle's model is beautifully simple. You've got your achievers who want to master the world's systems for status. You've got explorers who want to map out every single corner. Socializers are there purely for the connection with other players.
And then there are the killers. They are there to impose their will on other players. And Bartle's whole theory is that a healthy world actually needs all four types to create a balanced social ecosystem.
And that brings us to the biggest social powder keg of all, those killers. What do you do with them? How do you design a society where harming other players is actually part of the game?
The classic cautionary tale here is the early MMOG, Ultima Online. Its designers tried this bold experiment. What if we just had unrestricted player versus player combat? The result was basically a Lord of the Flies-style dystopia. Veteran player killers, or PKs, they formed gangs that would just hunt new players for sport, essentially bullying them right out of the game.
And this quote from the lead designer just says it all. The idealistic dream of a player-run society crashed into the hard wall of commerce. It failed because it was bad for business. When your paying customers are getting griefed out of existence, you have no choice but to step in and become the government.
This crisis forced the invention of a whole toolbox of what you could call justice mechanisms that are now standard in the industry. Things like automatically flagging criminals for vigilante justice, giving players a PvP switch to opt out of combat, or creating structured warfare through factions and safe zones. The goal was never to eliminate conflict, but to channel it into something productive, to regulate it.
Which leaves us with a truly provocative question. As these online worlds become more immersive and more central to our social lives, their designers aren't just making games anymore. They are, from scratch, architecting economies, legal systems, and entire societies. The real question is, what kind of architects do we want them to be?